we think you can coast, but there's no coasting. You're either going up or you're going down.
That's the truth.
That's it. And it's affecting finances, health, business, personal development, relationships. There's a wake that stirs behind you as you move forward in your life. And if you're not disciplined in the things we're going to talk about, the people who are watching you will make the same excuses you're making. That could be your team. That could be your family. It could be your kids. This gets touchy, you know? So let's talk about a few of these. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's Zach and I.
Just some good old boys hanging out.
And we don't mean no harm. We don't mean no harm, Zach, but we do. All right, let's talk about what we're talking about today. We want to give you guys some real conversation here, like from the heart, that everybody's got this journey. They're trying to accomplish something, and we are talking about what's required to be successful in this business. I know we talk about those things a lot in every podcast, but this is very specific, and you're going to decide if you're going to listen or not, okay? But here's the word, and I'll tell you right now, it's discipline. It's discipline. We're going to look at discipline in 3 specific areas of our life to be successful. And I think people jump on to hear magic words, tips and tricks, things that I can say to magically move people to make a decision or make my leads better. But man, there are fundamental pieces that are unavoidable. And this is kind of like that.
It absolutely is. And discipline's one of those funny things that we can be really good at it and really bad at it at the same exact time, because it's in so many different areas of our lives all simultaneously.
So when you say that sounded...
I did say that.
Like a fortune cookie. What do you mean by that? What do you mean we can be so good at it and so bad at it at the same time? Either you are or you aren't? I don't know if that's true.
I'm a strong believer. Well, I'm a strong believer in you get what you focus on.
Mm-hmm. Right. I agree with that.
Some people are focused on certain avenues, or you could say maybe that's their natural skill set they gravitate towards, or their priorities. But on the same flip of that coin, they try to avoid things that are difficult, that are hard, that cause stress, that is an obstacle.
Yeah.
And those can change your patterns of how you operate. For example, somebody can be really good in discipline with their finances, as we will get into. That same person could not be very disciplined with their health, which we can get into, right?
Yeah.
And those are 2 different aspects, but on one, they could be really good at managing their money, really good at saving, really good at earning money, but they could be horrible with their personal health. What I'm saying is nobody is disciplined in all areas of their life.
True. Yeah. And we were talking about this earlier, this idea of discipline, and it's kind of like giving control of how you get somewhere to something else. Mm-hmm. Like self-discipline is you being in control. Discipline is having a system or maybe a regiment, something you've committed to that's in charge. Like you just say, hey, I get up 6:30 every day. I go to the gym every day. These are boom, 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 boom. And you've committed to something. Yeah. And that's moving you. But here's the thing. If you want something, and for some people it's a production number, the amount of money that they want to make, and probably should be more than that.
Yeah.
That's a destination, and we talked about it being kind of like ways.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, Chris, because you just did a recent training last week on the LIAP coaching series, and it was talking about wrapped around getting what you want. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Probably.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about the ownership versus
because we talk about discipline and it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you have a lack of discipline, it may be because you have a lack of desire or vision of where that path is.
Yeah, we talk about desire, and in the training we talk about desire and purpose. Like, what are you made for, and what are you trying to get? Those two things, and some key questions with it, like what is it gonna, what do you want? What does it cost? Are you willing to do the work?
Bingo.
Yeah, those
That's
are the
it
three
right
questions.
there.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember exactly what it was,
Yeah.
but those three questions is, what are you willing to give up in order to get that? Like that sacrifice piece, that hard work piece. Do you care? Do you want it enough that it's going to move you or not?
Right. Yeah. And it's going to affect your life. And you may be thinking, well, this is supposed to be just a call about sales, telesales, but it's going to affect every area of your life. So we're going to get into that. The one thing I want to share with you first, this great quote by Jim Rohn: discipline is the key to getting everything that you want. It's everything you want is on the other side, and staying focused in a consistent direction, faithful to the cause, is the one thing that's going to get you there. The other thing I want to mention to you is I highly recommend The Slight Edge. It's a great book by Jim Olson, and there's a great graphic in it.
Hold the book up for him. It's right here. It's right here.
Thank you. It's right here. Thank you, Adam. And one thing he talks about in the book, Zach, that really resonated with me, and it made sense, was if something's easy not to do, it's easy to do.
Give me an example.
So, it really kind of has to get specific. So if you're saying, I hate getting up early in the mornings, it's just as easy to get up early in the morning. It's just as easy to do it as it is not to do it. It's just how you feel about it. The activity itself is sitting up. That's all we're talking about.
So here's a question, Chris, and I don't necessarily haven't thought through the answer of it.
Okay.
Is procrastination the opposite of discipline?
Procrastination. That's an ingredient of not being disciplined.
Right.
Yeah. It's probably a key piece to it for sure. That's why that's an interesting conversation, because when I look at somebody's goals and they're saying, I want to get to 150,000 income after all expenses in the year. And then they start charting out, well, in month one, what is that going to be? Month two, month three, what does that look like? So it's 10,500, we'll say. Okay. We'll just pretend I'm right on the math on that. Okay. But what they'll do is they'll divide that up into 12 increments. But people don't work that way. What they'll do is 7,500, 6,500, 3,500 out, 3,500, 6,500, 7,500. And then they look at that last piece, and then they do as hard as they can, maybe. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the procrastinator. It has to be tied. Do I want it or not?
So procrastination is the permission to not be disciplined.
Yeah. That's a great way of saying that. Yeah. And even on that Waze idea, this is sponsored by Waze, by the way. Just kidding. Waze, where's the money? We never got the check. But with Waze, that blue line is telling you where to go. And I can say to Waze, taking me to my destination, I'm passing all these other things. I can say to Waze, well, I really want a caramel mocha frappuccino. That's going to delay me.
Blame it. He wants a caramel mocha.
Just give the man it. But the Waze doesn't care. Waze isn't like, Chris, you really shouldn't.
The next version might pop up. Hey, if you're interested, there's a right off,
because it knows your habits, right? Yeah. Oh, that's scary. Good grief. But the reality is, because we've done this before and we know it and we've traveled, is it delays us.
Yeah.
That there was a cost to that exit ramp, right? So if it's easy to do, it's easy not to do. And there's just two directions. I'm learning this. I teach this to my children. We think you can coast, but there's no coasting. You're either going up or you're going down.
That's the truth.
That's it. And it's affecting finances, health, business, personal development, relationships. There's a wake that stirs behind you. as you move forward in your life. And if you're not disciplined in the things we're going to talk about, the people who are watching you will make the same excuses you're making. That could be your team. That could be your family. It could be your kids. This gets touchy, you know?
Are you ready to launch your insurance career? Excel Solutions is your go-to leader in life, accident, and health insurance pre-license training. Their cutting-edge e-learning platform is packed with rich content. Think interactive assessments, engaging videos, and customized learning paths, all tailored to your learning style. Being students ourselves, we've trusted Excel now for years to deliver top-notch training, offering high pass rates. Their streamlined prep review courses and the exam simulator are really your secret weapons to nailing the state exam the very first time. Now, you thought it couldn't get any better. Well, it just did. Life Insurance Academy listeners, you receive an epic 50% discount, reducing the regular course fee from $199 to only $99. So, all you have to do is use partner code LIA at liapodcast.org/Excel. Now, Excel spells XCEL. So don't think about it any longer. Dive headfirst into your insurance career with Excel Solutions' premier pre-license training with that exclusive 50% discount just for you. Get the code, get licensed, and excel in your insurance career.
So let's talk about a few of these.
Let's do it.
Yeah. First is maintaining mental and physical health. We talk about and this is exactly what Zach was saying at the beginning of this. For him, you can be very disciplined in certain areas of your life, not disciplined in others. Like, I'm a reader, man. I love to read. It just falls into, like, my giftings, top 5 as a learner. I read 3 or 4 books at a time sometimes because I'm just digesting information, right? Silence, like getting away to where I can get some peace and just process things.
Yeah,
I can do that.
That's big on me.
Yeah, that's a big one for you too. And then there's these other things like regular exercise, mentoring relationships, and adequate sleep. Like, I can give myself maybe a 7 or 8 on some of these other ones, and then sleep, major issue. Regular exercise, major issue. So not being disciplined. And why does this matter? Why is it so important?
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to, a shout out to Lori on our coaching call.
Yeah.
But she was able to share with us how discipline doesn't have to be daunting and doesn't have to be aggressive, or we don't have to fear discipline. And we all have dreams. We all have a vision. We all have this end game or this goal, this task we want to accomplish. And sometimes that is large. Could be overwhelming. But it's true. It's what we want, and it's what we can get. But the problem is, in this example, Lori was. She was just starting a health, physical and mental health program where she was on a treadmill, and it was a running program. And there's a goal for her to build up to be able to run consistently at a certain amount of time and a certain amount of distance. But the very first exercise was to run for 2 minutes and then just do a little bit of walk. 2 minutes. So
sounds like a marathon.
She's had a goal the entire time, but that's attainable. It's achievable. It's there. We can do it. But the truth is that 2 minutes is harder than you think it would.
Yeah.
A few days into it, now she's running up to 20 minutes with no issue, and she thinks it's that went by really fast. Yeah. And the cool thing is that example is no different than anything we do in life. A lot of us, especially at the brand new year, a lot of us set goals. We set benchmarks, whether it's income, whether it's amount of time and vacations this year, no matter if it's growing our team or our agency to a certain size, we set these daunting goals, but we never are disciplined to the daily task, the little simple task, the little footsteps that is going to allow us to build confidence, belief, and inch our way there. I was able to ask Lori, now, if day one they said, we want you to run for 20 minutes or 30 minutes just straight, how would you feel about that? And she was transparent, and she was talking about, well, she may not have done it. She would have convinced herself that it's not the right time, that it's too hard. And we find ourselves getting overwhelmed and making excuses and finding other reasons of why we can let ourselves down gently, but still not accomplish that task. And that's no different than being disciplined. I think, Chris, people are harder on themselves than they need to be. And we feel, if I'm going to have this goal, then I have to do this amount right now, every day. I got to wake up 5 a.m. I got to do cold plunge. Yeah. I got to do, you cut out all this caffeine, only eat fruits and vegetables. They list like everything out in their life, and it's cold turkey, stop. This is what I got to do, or I don't want this dream. And they're faced with that same realization that we made that example with Lori. Mm-hmm. That's maybe too big of a sacrifice, because if I don't feel like I can stay disciplined and continue on that path in all of those different areas, then I'm going to fail anyways, for which I don't know if I should start.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing to do.
Yeah. The getting up early, for example, it may be an extra 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Make it achievable, something that you can commit to. Moving to 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes to increase that. Going to bed a little earlier. Maybe it's that thing for you. And another thing, Zach, I do want to mention here is, or reading 10 pages a day. Mm-hmm. Just something I can commit to. And this personal growth thing. And these parts are so important, because you can run hard on activity, finances. Those are the other things we're going to talk about, and not even realize how drained you are. So you have to be healthy. You have to. Another one I do want to mention, Zach, is you have to be spiritually healthy.
100%.
At the beginning of this, we talked about in this trainings that we've done on our coaching calls is desire and purpose. The idea that you were made for a reason, to make an impact on this world, that there is a creator who knows you and wants to know you and have a relationship with you. Like, you have to be spiritually healthy. And we do have a special guest. We have Linda.
Still up there?
Yeah, we had little Jesus up there. I'll put the bobbleheads.
Where did he come from?
A buddy of mine, Nevitt, gave it to me. I said he'd make an appearance on a podcast.
I was thinking, Chris, there's a couple cool things really in your life that I've seen some of these areas. Number one is people don't know this is your second knee surgery, pretty much back to back, if you will, in 2 years. Mm-hmm. But previous to that, you and your wife Lisa started to walk, and you made a conscious effort to be disciplined in the area of health.
Daily, nonstop. Mm-hmm.
But when you first started, it wasn't very far, and it wasn't very easy on a bad knee.
Yeah.
And you continued to increase and to continue to build up. The other thing is your recovery of your knee, like just the amount you're allowed to move it, the amount you're allowed to stretch it, the amount you have to get up and walk, but you cannot walk more than this. Like it was always like, you got to do this, but not too much. And to where you can build up. And we are built the same way in everything in our life. And we have to be able to realize that, digest that, and take these things on with discipline.
Yeah. So those key areas, guys, of being mentally healthy, being physically healthy, being spiritually healthy are going to be guiding forces for us. Another key area is being disciplined in your finances. We have seen people, we've seen rockets that have crashed. I mean, just taken off, and they were flash in the pans. That was the language that's been used before. It makes me nervous when I see a new agent do incredibly well, getting large deposits immediately. I know that sounds funny because you want them to succeed.
Yeah.
But what I need an agent to understand is that they should have realistic expectations, that not every day is going to be a sale, that there will be chargebacks, there will be challenges that you will face, and the money doesn't come in like it did at your previous job where you were paid on an hourly rate or a salary that was consistent every week.
Yeah.
So you are in charge now. So those finances have to be set up correctly. If you want to talk about that for a second, Zach.
Yeah, man, that's a great point. Sometimes you can be a little under the weather, and as long as you're showing up and breathing a little bit and doing a little bit of your job, you're getting the same paycheck as another week you come in fired up and motivated.
That's right.
It's that stability-ish, limited stability, I'll call it. But you have the opportunity to create that for yourself. You have the same opportunity. Every business that you've worked for in the past, every corporate company out there at the highest levels, they're entrepreneurs. They're figuring out how to go generate new business.
That's why they're
income.
making the money.
That's exactly why they're making the money.
They're solving big problems.
They're solving huge problems. And looking at that, Chris, if you're able to reconstruct that and build your own finances to where you can pay yourself a salary, you can be disciplined to what your family's responsibilities and needs are, and not much more than the necessities, to then accumulate, grow to where you have the ability to invest in your business and to be smart with your income. Most of the agents that fail in life insurance isn't necessarily because of training, isn't necessarily because they don't have the community or the culture involved. A lot of times is they've never been taught how to run their own business financially. And then the backside of that is, it's typically not the agents that don't make a lot of money. It's the ones that come out firing and they make more money at one time in one sell or 1 week or 1 month than they ever had, and they don't know how to handle that success and money, and they ended up getting themselves in a pickle. That becomes financially devastating when looking at paying off large personal debts with money that's from advanced commissions, or already talking as if their record week is now going to be the norm week in and week out, so that they can't afford that motorcycle or that Mustang or that new shiny item, all when they're 3 months in the business.
Yeah. Or even paying off large amounts of debt that they've been paying on for a while, not understanding the importance and the power of the cash flow to continue to invest in your marketing.
Absolutely.
Which are your leads.
And by the way, we have a full coaching course.
Yes, I wanted to get to that.
On managing your money and your finances. We have a full course called Launchpad to Success, where we talk about the foundation of your business. We talk about the finances of your business, and then the fruition of what you're going to take action to. All before you sell your first policy. That's available as well.
Good alliteration. So key concepts in there: setting up your accounts correctly and practicing financial discipline. Important keys to success. The next discipline focus is focusing on income generating activity. And we do these telesales boot camps. We actually have one coming up here in a couple of days. And this is amazing to me, Zach. People come to this event. They pay to come to this event.
Speak to him, Chris.
Yes, you come to this event. And what we'll see happen is someone will come to this event, and I will see two things we do. We eat and we dial. That's it. The whole time. Eat, dial, coach. Eat, dial, coach. But some people will come to the event, and they will move their papers from one side of their desk to the other, and then from that side of the desk to the other. And they will find ways to do that for 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Or all of a sudden, all this pending business needs to be taken care of in the middle of the telesales boot camp. I get it. I understand. There's some vulnerability, some nerves, and all that stuff. But this is what I'm suspecting, and this is what I've learned, is that if it's happening there when you paid for it and you've gotten the most leads you've ever gotten, probably, with the best coaching you can get, it's probably happening in your house, and you're finding ways to be distracted, and it's not making you any money.
Absolutely. It's amazing to see that typically at this event, you would buy more leads in a week than you have in any previous week, and that's just our recommended minimum. You will make more dials in 2.5 days than you have made in any 2-week period combined together, which is sometimes shocking. But the craziest thing about revenue generating activities, Chris, is if you're a farmer, you get paid when you harvest.
Yeah.
If you're a pro athlete, you get paid to perform in the games, not practice, not in the gym, right?
Yeah.
If you're a tow truck driver, you get paid when you tow cars, right?
Yes.
If you're an insurance professional, you get paid when you provide peace of mind to clients.
Yeah.
It's no different. We don't get paid for moving papers left to right. We don't get paid from getting around and going to eat snacks and getting on the phone and talking outside. We don't get paid for doing all these extra activities or fixing everything at home or having to go this and there. We don't.
Yeah.
So just a weird perspective to look at it.
And there's like even the farmer, there's a time and place for other work. You know, there's a time to clear the, I don't know what farmers do.
Come on, tell us.
Clear the field. Clear the field. There's a time to hoe the plow. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Listen to Adam. Seed and a time to harvest.
So thank you, Adam.
The money comes from the harvest, but it's an accumulation of that work. So if you have admin work that has to be done, following up with policies, leading your team, any of these things, they have to be scheduled.
Yep.
For a time to free up the high value tasks that are going to put money in your bank account. That is the goal. The other piece to this we want to pay attention to is delegating non-essential tasks. And there's going to be a time when you have enough funds where you may be able to hire an assistant who does that. And they can call on that pending business for you and handle those things. But we have to have the financial discipline to get to a point where we can do that. And Zach, can you talk about other delegations that may not be like an assistant, hiring an assistant that other people may not be thinking about?
It may not be an assistant.
Like technology stuff.
Yeah, like number one is being able, if you have a really good CRM, you can have automations built out for lead nurturing. So if you're running a new batch of leads, instead of working the same batch of leads for weeks or even months at a time, you can put those in nurturing campaigns that they're getting touched and they're getting communicated with. You have messages, emails going out. Because it doesn't mean they're not going to buy, it just means they weren't buying yet. And you can generate opportunities without you physically having to do that yourself.
They just show up on your calendar.
Absolutely. You can set up ongoing reoccurring lead orders, regardless if they're direct mail or digital. So you don't have to waste time looking at counties, looking at areas, looking at things. Get with a program that is going to give you reoccurring lead opportunities that just come right into your system. You can have so many things, even on the front end of new leads. You can have them drop right into your system and then be communicated with, even with essentially a picture of you and an expectation that a phone call is coming, or even some sort of Calendly link that's going to set up a calendar invite for you. So maybe you're just running appointments. There's so many different avenues that you can do to simplify and become more efficient. The truth is, if you want to do that, you will. If you're looking for a reason of why you can't dial or don't want to dial, you will find yourself doing all of those other tasks, right?
Yeah. There's one reason to dial, and it's the desire and the purpose. You decided that already. There's 1,000 reasons not to. 1,000. Prioritizing high-value tasks, delegating non-essential tasks, and lastly, and Zach said it, you heard it multiple times, committing to leads. That is the lifeblood of your business, committing to the marketing. We talked about 3 specific areas to practice discipline. Zach and I were talking earlier, which I thought was pretty cool. He asked a good question. How do you measure that? Like, how do you measure discipline?
Let's do an activity with him, Chris. While you guys are listening to this podcast, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on how disciplined you are. 10 being I'm extremely disciplined. Number 1 is I am not disciplined at all. I am the worst. So if you rate yourself there, be honest with yourself. And what you will probably realize is the number you rated yourself is probably on the item, or the first thing that came to mind was the item or the task that your strength is probably in, that it's pretty easy for you to be disciplined in. And you disregarded all the stuff it's hard for you to be disciplined in. You picked one area of your life, and that's where your number came in. You probably picked probably around a 6, if I had to guess. 6 to 7 is where you picked. Now, the truth is, when we look at that, the encouraging thing is there's room for improvement. There's absolutely room for improvement that we have. And the way we look at that is, I guess my other question for you guys is, how do you know it's that number? How is it measured? How are you determining that? And discipline shouldn't be measured on thoughts or feelings. Discipline shouldn't be measured on how good I did this past week on my sales or my success, or did I wake up early, or hey, it's the new year. I started my gym membership. I'm probably not going to cancel to the end of February. Like it can't be a short stint that you're measuring your discipline to. So we did a little research and we came up with there's 6 areas that we use to measure your discipline. 6. The number one area is your consistency.
Absolutely.
You have to be, how consistent are you in everything you do? Not just the best thing you do, in everything you do. That's waking up early, that's eating healthy, whatever your goal is, how consistent are you on that? And I'm not talking about for a 2-week span. I'm not talking about even a 75 hard and then day 80, day 90, day 100, you're back to your old habits, right? How consistent are you on that? The second way we measure that is goal achievement. Do you set out goals and do you actually achieve those? If you never set goals, you can't really be disciplined because you have nothing to be disciplined to.
Yeah.
Right? The third thing is your time management. And that is crucial. Being able to block out times in your calendar, in your schedule, to work on the things you need to work on, to have the revenue generating activities, to be able to plant the seeds and then your other time to harvest.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, the one thing I will say about that, Zach, is when you commit to a calendar, it is releasing you of the self-discipline. Yeah. Because something is partnering with you in your self-discipline. I guess I would say
you're accountable to something.
Yeah, you're accountable to something.
Yeah, absolutely. And a good example of that as well, Chris, is you may say, well, I'm consistent. I have a goal of $600 a day, and I get that week in and week out. But the difference is I may wake up at 9 o'clock one day, get my $600 in, and I'm good. The other day I may sleep in till noon, but I still get my dials in. There's a tiny bit of weakness in there when it comes to we're not consistent and have goals set for every aspect. One of those would be our sleep, as we discussed earlier. The fourth way we measure discipline is self-control in a difficult situation.
That's what everything's revealed.
It's easy to be disciplined when there's nothing hard, right? When you're not sore from the previous workout, when you're not beat up because of the last week you wrote nothing in sales, but you still bought leads. Like it's easy to be disciplined when it feels like you're winning, but what if you're not, right? The fifth way that we measure discipline is a long-term focused. Now, the long-term focused is how often are you remembering and thinking about that end goal? Because if that's not on the front of mind, and if that's not re-identified daily to you, you could be driving this ship, but it could be slightly a degree or two off course. And by the time you're disciplined and running towards that, you're completely in a different island.
And it's your subconscious mind that's activated.
Yep.
That's doing the work for you and solving these problems to move towards your goal and what you're trying to achieve. And if you're distracted with that other stuff, you're right. The motor's turning in a different direction.
100%. And then the sixth and final one of how we measure discipline is the accountability and reflection. Mm-hmm. So who are you accountable to? Are you making excuses? Are you trying to be disciplined, but you're allowing yourself leeway on either side of that? And can we be honest with ourselves and reflect where we are to make those adjustments and move through?
You know, I remember those old scary movies. I had the best grandma in the world. And she used to watch scary movies with me when I was a kid. We used to eat ice cream and cereal on it in Battle Creek, Michigan. And we watched these scary movies. And I remember watching these werewolf movies. And this guy's like telling his friend, whatever you do, I need you to chain me up tonight. Take the key. Whatever you do, whatever you hear, do not let me out. That's what I feel like sometimes. You know,
Teen Wolf
like,
going on.
But there's some self-awareness. There's
a lot of self-awareness
there, where you can say to yourself, "Man, I need support in this area, and I need to give that key to somebody else because I'm a mess in this spot." Yeah.
I think that's how your grandma justified you chaining you down to the bed. Because she didn't want you leaving the house.
Because I was a little spaz, man.
She didn't want you going to the snack cabinet.
The snack cabinet.
Now, just like the wolf, Chris, we're going to put these chains right here.
Betty would have never done that. She would buy some insurance, though. That's for sure.
100%.
Well, guys, hope this brings you some value. This conversation of discipline. Where does it fit in your life? How are you in this? Would love to hear. Throw it in the chat. We'll discuss it with you.
Absolutely.
Share your grade. Like, hey, in this area in my life, I'm this. This is what I'm hoping for. Love to hear it. If you got value out of it, share the podcast. If you've got a team, share the podcast with your team.
Yeah.
And also subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, gang. We're your friends in this business. We can't wait to see you on the next Life Insurance Academy podcast.